Thank you, fabulous. Woo!
That's what I'm talking about. Woo! Wait, you see this one mine? Just saying. Rev Marquita Peirre from Las Vegas. Woo-hoo! Now you have one more reason to go to Las Vegas, don't you? Yes. Yeah, someone said a better reason. I hear you. I may need this. Getting this close to me. Well, good morning. I was like, don't dance too much, you'll be out of breath. Well, what did I just affirm? Oh my gosh. So, really, Karen, walk it. I can do anything. How about you? We can too. We can too. I can and we can. So we've been stepping out in faith together all month. Just to show a hand, who's been here every Sunday? This is the 5th Sunday, so 5 Sundays in a row. Oh, good. We got some work to do. So we've been stepping out in faith together, and when we step out collectively, we can open ourselves up to things that weren't possible if we just individually do it. So we are unlocking the power by using this amazing book. Whether you listen to it, whether you read it, whether you listen and read it, make sure you do this. Get it on Kindle, audio, whatever. The New Master Key System by Charles Haanel. And we have been opening ourselves up to these infinite possibilities, unlimited good, and the use of the creative power to unlock the power in our lives. And so, I started thinking about, because it's the new, originally the master key, but we're reading the new master key. And I started thinking about what a master key is and what it does. So I want you to envision or think about one of the largest, most spectacular buildings you can bring into your mind in some way. It can be here in Dallas, it could be in New York City, it could be wherever you want. Just bring that building into your mind now. Great? And now think about the master key. You have the master key to that building. That gets you in every door in that building. You're not denied passage. That gets you to every view. If it's a glass building that you just brought into your mind, it gets you to every view imaginable from all sides. You know, you can move through anything, you can pass through anything, you can experience anything you want, and nothing will prevent you from entering it because you got the master key. It fits every door. And that's what we've been talking about this month. And we've specifically looked at, we're looking at 5 keys. The first one is think, that practitioner Tracy Brown started the month off with us, think. Then Dr. Peirre talked about imagine. And then collectively we went into shift at Easter Sunday. And then last week I talked about believe, and today we're exploring how do we succeed in our life. How do we succeed in our life? Well, by using all of them. That's how we succeed. We succeed by, as Dr. Peirre said, and Tracy did in her prayer, is this realization of the creative power of our thought. That's really what Haanel talks about throughout all 24 of his lessons. It is consistent. In every single lesson, he brings that primarily, majoritarily to the forefront. And that's where it all begins. That's the master key. And so he talks about the possibilities of directing our thoughts are infinite, the outcomes eternal, yet few of us make the effort to direct our thinking into channels that will do us good. Rather, he says, we'll leave it all to chance. So, by voice or by show of hands, how many people leave something in your life to chance? Yeah. Any area of your life that you can bring into your mind right now that perhaps you leave to chance. So think about this when we're going to decide to go on a trip, albeit in this country, or if we decide we want to take an international trip or whatever. And do we just, when we decide we're going on this trip, just leave it to chance? I'll just see. I'll just show up at the airport and see if I can get on the wait list. Just ask them, hey, can I get on American Airlines flight 1422 at 6:30 p.m.? No, I don't have a ticket. I'm just leaving it to chance. You got a seat for me? Well, what about a hotel? Just leave it by chance, whatever restaurant you walk into. You don't check out Yelp or anything. You just, think about that. Would we, in anything that we want to really experience fully, enjoy fully, leave it to chance? Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry, I didn't let you know I was, So Hanel tells us, we should not leave anything to chance, and we don't have to. He tells us that the things we hold in our conscious mind for any length of time becomes impressed upon our unconscious mind. Ernest Holmes would say subjective mind. It's subject to things, right? To our subjective mind, it becomes a pattern that the creative universal energy weaves into our life and our environment. So the things that we hold in our conscious mind for any length of time, there it is. It's the fabric that we wear. It is the life that we lead. Hanel tells us that whatever we become aware of in our conscious mind is invariably manifested in our objective world. Thoughts become objects, our objective world. So we get to experience our thoughts. He tells us that our lives are simply the reflection of our predominant thoughts, our mental attitudes. So begin to think about just in the past week. Just bring the past week clump of thoughts into your consciousness, and what is the predominant thoughts that you've had this past week? And that is your mental attitude. And guess what? It's like we are this big, big honking magnet, and we're attracting. So think about those thoughts, and we're attracting everything to us, and everything's sticking to us, and it becomes our experience. Thus, the law of attraction. Would you want some of that stuff to stick to you? Yeah. So he tells us that the mental attitude is patterned after the mental images. Now, images can be various sorts. I'm just going to give one example, but the mental images that we think, hold, and review. So begin to start thinking about our mental images like pictures. Just think about them as if whatever mental images we're holding actually hits the face of this picture that I'm holding. If you don't like the possibility of any image that you're holding, the outpicturing of that in your life, well, what can you do with this picture? Answer, can someone? Oh, change it. Very good. Would you want some of these pictures that that you're holding right now to come to life, to absolutely come to life right now? Yes, some. Would anybody not want them to come to life? Some of them. Some of them you wouldn't want to come to life. Right. So the good news is we can get rid of those pictures. In fact, what I like to think of it is we really ought to start thinking about some of our thoughts as pictures and make sure we burn the negative. Or in today's time, delete that sucker off my phone before it goes to every device I have, before it gets on Facebook, before it goes and gets 6 million hits. That silly picture of me holding whatever, right? But burn the negative so that it doesn't get duplicated and show up and show up and show up. We don't want some of these things to come alive. We don't want them to be experienced. And so what Hanel tells us that in order to succeed and unlock the power of the master key, he says, do not hold or entertain any thoughts that you do not want to see manifest in your life, and begin to replace them with the ones that you do. Okay? The other thing he tells us, in order to succeed, is it is so powerful. He says, understand and know the creative power of the universal mind. The universal mind. Hanel tells us that the universal mind is the totality of all mind. So I can't even wrap the mind around it. But the totality of all mind in existence. That's the universal mind. And spirit is this universal mind because spirit is creative intelligence. So universal mind, sometimes we say one mind, sometimes we say spirit, sometimes we say God. Dr. Peirre and I deliberately sometimes don't say God. It's not that we don't love God, but as I talked a little bit about last week, is many of us come from perhaps a background where we believed or were taught that there's a God outside of us. There's some big supreme being in the sky or whatever, right? So we use spirit, this universal mind. Most of the time, though, we think that this mind is an individual, and it's not. This one mind shows up individualized, and individual and individualized are two entirely different things. Take classes, you'll really get that. It's two entirely different things. I am individualized expression of the universal mind, the one mind. And it is omnipresent. It is everywhere present. Okay? So what Hanel tells us is this universal mind is extraordinary in quality, it's limitless in quantity, and it contains possibilities without number. And so he says that the real secret to enter this realm that we're talking about this week, this realm of mastery, is to be fully, completely aware of this creative power. This universal mind is a live wire. It's a live wire. And Hanel tells us that it carries power sufficient to meet every situation that may arise in your life, all the power you could ever want and need to bring anything that you want into your life. He says, and I love this, the more aware that we become of our unity with this universal mind, the less aware we shall become of conditions and limitations in our life. So see, the more aware that we become of the unity of this universal mind, the less and less and less aware I become of my conditions. Now, doesn't that sound good? Especially because some conditions are really, really good, but limitations. So, to become conscious of this power is to become a live wire ourselves. Think about this. Think of that universal mind as the electricity that is everything, everywhere present. There's no spot that it's not. It's just the biggest energy source anyone can imagine, and it goes beyond that, right? And to become conscious of this is to become it, this live wire. We become this live wire, and to know that all of that power lies within us. No wonder we go across the rug and get shocked. This power lies within us. And we move from that individual power, when we get that, to universal power. So, by way of description so that we get it at a deeper level than we ever have before in this moment. Imagine that I'm holding a wire, okay? It's a wire about this long, and the ends are frayed. It's just a live wire. It's a wire, excuse me. It's just a wire. All right, over here is the biggest live wire, just fell off the telephone pole, whatever, but it is a live wire. It's got all the energy you can imagine. And here's the wire. And I'm going to go over and I'm going to touch it. Touch it, just merely touch it to this live wire. What do you think happens? Fried my hair. That's the truth of who we are, all the time. I am that wire, but sometimes I feel or think or believe because somebody's telling me so, or whatever happens, that I am this piece of wire and I'm individual. No, I'm individualized. And so that live wire is constant. The current is always there. It's always on. It never runs out, never depleted. And the moment I bring my conscious mind to the universal power and touch it right in here, touch it, bam! Who needs a defibrillator? Ooh, that's probably $1 million idea. So, as soon as we become aware of this inexhaustible power in the world within us, we begin to draw this power from within, not from without. We begin to draw this power from within. And we begin to draw on this power and develop and apply the greatest possibilities that this awareness is open to our lives. Period. Case closed. We are master. I mean, honestly. Now, I really love where he goes with this next. He says, no human being has any more power than any other human being. He says, the divine mind is universal mind. It makes no exceptions. It plays no favorites. It does not act through sheer caprice or from anger, jealousy, or wrath. Neither can it be flattered, so stop trying, controlled, or moved by sympathy or petition to supply anyone with some need that he or she thinks is necessary for happiness or even existence. He says the divine mind makes no exceptions to favor any individual. Whoever understands and realizes humanity's unity, he says, with the universal principle will appear to be favored because that person will have found the source of all health, all wealth, and all power. Yes, absolutely. So, we've been talking about this all month, that we are unlocking the power of the master key. Just say, I am the master key. Okay, we're getting ready for it. So we've been using think, imagine, shift, believe, and by doing so we succeed and we step into this realm, this whole new realm of mastery in our own lives. And we step into that realm, and once we step in, it's like I don't know, I'm not going back. Once we step into it, and we begin to really understand how we can direct and control our thinking. We can not leave anything, any area in our life to chance anymore. We can ensure, because by the way, whether you think you are or not, in some areas you already are leaving it to chance if you're not consciously bringing the power of your thought to bear. We can ensure that our mental attitude is one that holds thoughts that we actually want the picture to come to life, right? And most importantly, I believe and I know, is that we can become a live wire, and lead this success-filled life. So this week, you all got a card. You got 2 cards together, right? If you didn't raise your hand, they'll bring you one. The greeters are going to come forward. Just keep your hand raised until you receive a card. And so this week, we're going to affirm this and bring this into our individualized expressions of who we are, and we're going to say out loud, because there's power in the word, even as the greeters move around, I want you to say with me that I have the master key to live a success-filled life. I have the master key to live a success-filled life. Say that again, please. I have the master key to live a success-filled life. Yes, we do not have to find it. We have that key. And then we've been doing this every week. And by the way, if you don't have a map, and this is your first Sunday this month, we have maps. You can get them on your way out. We actually have the other 4 weeks' cards if you want that. You can play catch up, and you can watch the other 4 talks prior to this at your leisure. And so we're going to commit. And each week, we have been serious about our commitments because we know that as we seriously commit, don't sign that card if you're just going to be fluffing stuff with it. Just if you commit, then sign that card and you'll have an opportunity, tear it apart, and then put that card in the offering basket with all of your generosity when it comes around. So let's say this together. I commit to living and using my master key. Okay, so this time, I want you to think of that master key first, the one that lets you into that building. Every door, every floor, every nook, every cranny. That is who you are. So say it that way. I commit to living and using my master key. Okay, now, because we've talked about keys, let's do it plural. Because we're using these things of imagination, of thought, of shifting from leading a fearful life of death to fearless life and belief. I commit to living and using my master keys. Great. So this realm of mastery, what I believe is not only so important for my own life, for Karen Fry and how she decided to be an individualized expression of the one. In this go-around, whatever rounds we have, I have no idea. Whatever rounds I still have, I have no idea. All I know is I'm here now. And since discovering and finding science of mind and committing myself to this teaching and practice and to be an example of how it actually works, I've become more and more, as I see how I can unfold the life that I want, I become more and more aware of the power of this universal mind and how I can use it for others. That's why I'm in service here to you. And I believe that we can use this master key, the master key that we've unlocked, for the benefit of others as well. Hanel tells us this. He says, this creative power is impersonal. Remember, no one has any more power than the other. It's impersonal. And your ability to think is your ability to control it and make use of it for the benefit of yourself and others. To make use of it for the benefit of yourself and others. So I want to share with you the moment, the occasion that I was blessed with to really know how I can be a live wire, and that I am a live wire, and that my live wire can help other people in any situation, quite honestly. But it was October 2013, so almost 4 years ago. I lived in the Bay Area at the time. I was starting a ministry in the Mission District of San Francisco, and on that particular day, October 13th, 2013, I was taking a BART, one of the Bay Area rapid transit things, over to San Francisco. I didn't do that very often. So I was, getting on my big girl pants and being courageous, and I was going to meet with the board of directors for the Baha'i faith to rent space from them to start a ministry. We had a beautiful meeting. I was like, this is an incredible faith. Oh my gosh. And for the first time ever in their history, they said yes to another faith to rent space. And so I was high as a kite, and I was happy, and I was starting my ministry in San Francisco. And so I was riding that BART back from San Francisco to Berkeley. And I had on earbuds, and I was in a conversation sharing the great news with someone, a partner at the time that I deeply loved. And so I was having the conversation say, I got it, And I was continuing this conversation, and I got off the BART, and I'm walking through the place and, going out to the turnstile. So I'm walking in the building, and for whatever reason, everything within me said, stop. I was having a conversation, and it said, stop. And I stopped, and I said, give me a second. I just stopped. I didn't know why. And within a matter of 3 to 4 seconds, something off to the left of me started to occur. There was an altercation between two women that were starting to get really upset with one of the BART workers there. And so it was instant, it was hot. And because of that, the person on the other end could hear that and was like, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Don't be a hero. What are you doing? Please, get out of there." And I said, "Please, let me be." I was called to be a live wire. I was called to be love in that moment. And so I was then, I was divided, stay on the phone or be what I'm called to be. And the phone disconnected right in that moment. So I was able to stand and be the greatest power and presence there is, that when we become that live wire, nothing can stand against it. And it's love. Nothing can stand against it. Of course, I wasn't so sure about that until this moment. So by all means, whatever it looked like to everybody else around this was just me standing here like this. That's all it looked like. But I was being that universal power, being that presence, and bringing all of me and unifying myself with it and becoming that live wire. Well, one of the ladies that was heated and hot, I never opened my eyes, but I could tell she walked away because then there was just one, and she actually took the BART worker into her booth. So now the BART worker's trapped inside her booth in a dark space, and she can't get out. And it is escalating, and it is getting violent. And the human side of Karen Fry was sort of going, "Where are the security guards? This is going down." That was that live wire. It was hot. And then, just like that, I heard, "Well, that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me," the BART worker said. "Oh my gosh, that's just so great." They started laughing. And they came out of that booth like best friends, like they had known each other for years. Oh my God, I'm feeling it again. It was the most powerful, mystical experience I could ever have for the sake of my life and everyone around me to come. Because I knew what it meant to be that love. Now, just before it all ended, the BART worker had not been doing her normal task. So there was a whole line of people backing up, and they too were getting a little upset and impatient. And so I was still standing in my spot, and the BART worker, after she'd hugged and loved this woman up, and the woman left, it was like she felt it. She felt the live wire. She felt the presence, and she turned, and she looked at me, and she said, "Can I help you, ma'am?" And I said, "No, I just came here to be love." And it was like we knew, and she just said, "Thank you." And off we went. That changed my life. Everything from that moment changed. That's why I'm here, because everything changed after that moment. And so, as Hanel tells us, he really tells us that this creative power, we can make use of it for the benefit of ourselves and for others. And he ends with this. After 24 lessons, Julie's going to play while I read this. Take this in, go within. Touch that live wire. It's always there. Just touch it. Hanel says, this creative power is impersonal. This universal mind is impersonal. And your ability to think is your ability to control it and make use of it for the benefit of yourself and others. When you have realized, understood, and appreciated this truth, the truth of this statement, you will have come into possession of the master key. But remember that only those who are wise enough to understand, broad enough to weigh the evidence, firm enough to follow their own judgment, and strong enough to maintain the self-discipline may enter the door of heaven and partake of its riches. And so this is my prayer for all of us in this moment, that from now on, we each are able to realize that this truly is a wonderful world, and that we each are wonderful beings. Many people are awakening to the knowledge of the truth, and as fast as they wake up and come to this knowledge, they begin to realize, like William Blake did, that the doors of perception are cleansed. Everything is appearing to us as it is, infinite. They find that splendor exists for those who find themselves in the promised land. They will have crossed the river of judgment and will arrive at the point of discrimination between the truth and the false. And they will find that all they ever willed or dreamed is but a faint reflection of the dazzling reality of the power and the presence of the universal mind. And so yes, we can fulfill our dreams. Yes, we can have the life we want to have. And yes, we can unlock the power and ensure that we are part of this massive, massive current that's taken a stand for love and absolutely creating a world that works for everyone. And so it is.